Every season, the latest look takes centre stage. Whether it's a one-of-a-kind creation or something designed for a major chain, fashion is big business.
Australia is the second largest consumer of textiles globally, next to the United States.
The fashion industry is the second biggest polluter in the world, so it's damaging on all fronts.
The average Australian purchases about 27 kilograms of clothing each year, and 23 kilograms of that ends up in landfill.
But your trash could be my treasure.
We need to innovate and to stop thinking about clothes at end of life as waste and start thinking about clothes at end of life as resource.
To unpack the problems facing the fashion industry and some of the solutions, I'm meeting Camille Reid. Sustainability is her passion.
We're feeling the pressure from the fast fashion brands who have got their foot in the door in our backyard from the Northern Hemp. They're driving sales, they're driving the trends, they're driving this insatiable need for newness.
How much fashion is produced around the world? How many garments?
It can be upwards of 150 billion garments are produced annually. Billion. And we know the population globally is a little over 7 billion.
Right.
It doesn't quite add up. Where's the rest of the 140 billion going? And we therefore think they must be going to landfill, they must be incinerated, they must be being sold in the second-hand market.
Your local op shop is playing a big part in keeping tons of clothes out of landfill.
The second-hand economy is growing faster than the new economy.
Ooh, that's like sleazy nightclub owner.
Yeah.
There's a really increasing interest in buying second-hand instead of new.
Yeah. The beauty of coming to an op shop is you can just browse amongst shelves and racks, and you know, a lot of it will be garbage, but it's more enjoyable because when you do find the item that you're after, it's more fulfilling than just Googling it and clicking add to cart.
If you'd asked the general public 10, 15 years ago, do they buy pre-loved product from an op shop, I think a number of people would have been embarrassed to say that they did. I think most people would have been comfortable saying that they donated product to us, but they wouldn't have been comfortable saying that they purchased product from us.
Oh, that's so cute.
That position has changed dramatically over the last decade. I think now it's a bit of a badge of honour to say that you shop at an op shop.
And the buttons are really nice on it as well.
Morning, how are you?
Good morning, fine. How are you?
Oh, well, thank you.
What's inside?
A couple of plates that I've tucked in amongst some linens.
It's lovely. Thank you very much.
You mentioned the charity sector. How important has that sector been in getting those textiles out of landfill?
Really pertinent. Number one, the social projects that come off the back of everybody popping into op shops and repurchasing goods. It's probably the longest running, I suppose, stewardship scheme, return scheme that we've ever seen, and that plays back to all sorts of goods that we can purchase.
The community donates to us, so that's our product. They shop with us, they volunteer with us.
Hello, drop-offs? Come through.
What we do is really being a community retailers. So the surplus from our stores actually then goes to support those communities.
Thanks for your donation.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Goodbye.
Most Australian charities opened their first recycling outlets in the early 1900s.
Vinnie's has a very proud history of recycling. And we opened our very first shop in Newtown in Sydney in 1922, selling bags of horse manure.
I think for most of the charities, the op shops were established as a vehicle to fundraise.
The Brotherhood of St Lawrence was born within the Church of England. Today it's a social service agency. Here too is the Brotherhood's Salvage Division, a major enterprise which brings in 1/4 of the Brotherhood's funds. The Brotherhood's social workers have first claim on clothing, furnishings, electrical goods to provide for people who need them urgently. After that, a use is found for nearly everything.
I think there are about 3,000 charity op shop outlets in Australia. So collectively, we are far and away the largest second-hand proportion of the market, and we are Australia's largest retailers in terms of our footprint.
We just got some fantastic DVDs in.
From one donor?
One man had all of these and he said that they were all brand new. We're selling them 3 for $10. They've been selling like hotcakes.
Fantastic. We also work with a number of corporates who generously assist us with donations.
Just putting out some great new sunglasses that we just got in.
Fantastic.
Where we can't use donations, we have to pay to dispose of them. It's estimated that across Australia, $13 million a year is spent by charities sending unusable, damaged, dirty donations to the tip.
In a bid to reduce the volume of clothes condemned to landfill, some charities joined forces last year and launched a campaign called Moving the Needle.
Historically, the charity sector is very competitive, and one of the exciting opportunities provided by Moving the Needle is that Salvos, Red Cross and Vinnies are collaborating for the first time ever.
What is Moving the Needle?
It is the realisation that the charities have a bigger part to play in what sustainability means. That's really where it came from. They know that a whole bunch of stuff ends up in landfill. They know we're over-consuming. They know they can get access to a lot of second-hand clothes that they're not currently getting access to. For example, if this top has another 50 wears in it and I don't want it, tomorrow I should give it to the op shop because it can be appreciated and well-loved and looked after for however many more wears, rather than me saying, OK, I don't want it anymore, in the bin and next.
Large and small fashion brands joined the campaign.
Good job.
So Moving the Needle, we thought that's just such a great initiative, informing our customers of how they can keep things out of landfill.
All being diverted from landfill. How cool is that?
Wow. Pretty amazing. I've got my home clothes, which I'll wear until I can't wear them anymore.
But they're still in good condition.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. I like that. So I've got a pile of those that I've brought in for rags, and also there are some clothes that I've got that I no longer fit into them. So I've brought them in for resale.
Great pieces. Look.
Put it in this one.
Okay.
I think this one's for sale, for charity sale.
Look.
Sock.
Odd sock. That's what we like to see.
How do you get rid of your odd socks?
Not the bin.
Not the bin.
Not the bin.
That's for rags.
Yes.
Where do you put them? So if we can be a part of getting that message out there and providing a space where we can talk about these things, it's great. So we don't have a shop front because everything we make is made to order.
We're going to start trying on your clothes because that's what you're also here for.
Great. Thank you.
So we've got your pieces for summer.
Yeah.
Should we start with a skirt?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
This unique retail concept started 7 years ago.
We were competitors at the time, and even with a small business, you get leftover stock.
This was a good one, that tee. Do you think we could do something like that? So we were sitting in an outlet centre and we were just quite miserable looking at all of our stock. There were so many other shops full of so much stock. Back it on the floor. This is just totally wrong. Like, this is the graveyard of clothing here. So we were like, nah, we've got to change.
We have to find a new system that would not eventuate in stock left over at the end of the season, which in the normal retail wholesale model is inevitable.
Okay, let's play.
We've really put the customer in the driver's seat. So we design a collection and we invite our customers in to have a look at it.
I've got pockets. You do have pockets.
Just above the knee or kind of mid-knee. They get to try everything on and they really dictate what we make.
Yeah, we don't have to do any guessing. Should we try another top on with the skirt?
Yeah. They'd get what they want. We would be satisfied with our offering. You don't want it too tidy. And there would be no waste left over.
That length is looking really good too,
Yeah.
isn't it?
That's really cute.
Across.
How's that for a revolutionary idea?
So it's kind of going back to being the tailor. Oh, great.
That's good.
Sharp.
Very nice.
Ta-da.
Well, traditionally, fashion's been done the same way for centuries. So we've never seen a point in time to transition and take a whole industry in a completely new direction. Some sort of another industrial revolution, really, for an old-school manufacturing system.
In the late 18th century, Britain's Industrial Revolution saw the making of clothes taken out of the home and into factories. The invention of the sewing machine transformed the garment industry. Shops displayed the latest fashions.
I think if you look back at the history of retailing in Australia, and you need to probably go back as far as the Second World War, when polyesters and man-made materials started coming into the market. Certainly the development occurred then when cotton shortages were obvious through the Second World War.
In laboratories like this, new products for tomorrow are born, and an even closer watch is kept on the quality of today's production. Here, too, are to be found the textiles of the future. Remarkable developments that transform an ordinary dress material like this into a treated cloth that miraculously withstands stains. Here's a newly developed material which needs only to be hung up and without the aid of a pressing iron recovers its smooth, unwrinkled beauty.
That's 15 denier nylon, finer than a human hair. And that's the basic material of which all of our stockings are made today.
From the 1950s, cheap synthetic fabrics like polyester and nylon flooded the market.
A lot of trouble is caused with ill-fitting shoes. Women don't take enough care of calluses, of toenails, hands too, when putting the stocking on.
Most textiles, if we look at what the fibres and the compositions of garments, for example, are made out of, most of it is polyester and cotton, the two most commonly used fibres in the world. And given poly is plastic, if you're looking at poly garments, and they may be blended with the cotton, so the cotton has the natural ability to break down, given it's organic, but polyester, therefore, will stay around just as long as any other plastic ending up in landfill.
The Red Cross has begun forging new creative partnerships to promote a more sustainable fashion industry.
One of the things that we have been doing is speaking to some of the institutes that are involved in fashion, some of the universities, some of the colleges, about the programs they offer and encouraging them to work with the charity sector. So I think one of the encouraging things that it does is starts to plant the seed in the next generation of fashion designers' minds about how we deal with this issue of textile waste.
So for the jacket, I was just playing around with the beading and not sure what colour to use. I found some crocheted lace, but I don't know if I want to use that or if I should use some of the swatch headers. What do you think? I've also got this.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
So when we're doing upcycling and we're making sustainable fashion or even zero waste, you have to throw the traditional processes out the window with this type of work.
Okay.
Because you're working with what you've got.
Yeah. When I first started this course, I think I was very overwhelmed with all of the problems with the industry and the sustainability aspect of it. And immediately I thought, you know what, I don't want to be a designer. I do not want to contribute to this. I don't want to make more clothing. I just thought, you know, it's out of control. You know, I don't want to get involved.
But the fashion students here are encouraged to think outside the box.
When we go to the warehouse, it can be really overwhelming. A really good way to get around it is to just look at the colours you like first of all.
Yeah, okay.
And see that you like the fabric.
Sure. Oh, wow. How massive is this place? Yeah, insane. Yeah. And after seeing all of these clothes at the Red Cross, actually visualising it made me realise I can make anything I want from things that are already existing. And I thought, that's a solution to a problem. And I thought, this can be mine. And I really like that. Yeah, let's put that aside.
At Melbourne Fashion Week, design students have the opportunity to showcase their latest creations.
It's really exciting to be an emerging designer at a period of time when, you know, a lot of people are talking about sustainable fashion, and there's a lot of momentum that's sort of being built up around it.
The fashion here is different. Nothing on this runway is new.
So it's a lot more sustainable if things can be reused, even for a short period of time.
Every scrap of fabric has been scrounged, upcycled and repurposed by the Kangan Institute students.
Yeah, I think for me, upcycling is, you know, an easy way to start because we're starting with what's already on the planet and what's already polluting the planet rather than buying fabrics and creating more waste.
In the past, we've thought more in a linear way. There's the product purchased, it's then used by a single person and then finds its way into landfill. The charity sector, I think, has put an extra couple of loops in that process. Perhaps several people might wear the garment before it then finds its way to landfill.
This came from some dead stock fabric, random offcuts of fabric that you couldn't really do a lot with, but I ended up making my shorts from them. And with this zero waste pattern, you're developing the garment based on the width of the fabric that you have. So you're using the entire piece of fabric. I also have a matching jacket, and with my jacket, I've got this embroidery on the yoke. It came from an old header. You can see I've chopped out of it. They have these as like samples for people to see before they buy them. During the design process, I think it's really important to think about the lifetime of the garment. So what is going to happen to it after it's been worn? What is the consumer going to do when they've had enough of it or it's broken?
The thing that I'm mostly known for is mending. So I mend other people's clothes for money, and I teach a mending course, and I've also just written a book about clothes mending. So this is a jumper that I mended invisibly, and I took it along to my course and couldn't actually see where I'd mended it. So I had to put a white safety pin here so that I could find it. And I'm totally for invisible mending if you can, if you have matching material. But not everyone does, and not everyone has the time to invest in developing that skill to make things invisible. So I just say, don't bother. Go for visible and just try to make it intentional and creative and have fun with it. So tea towels are another thing that people think I'm crazy for mending because they're so cheap. You know, they say, why would you even bother if a tea towel costs $2? Like, why would I mend it instead of buying a new one? But this is an actual working tea towel that is in our house. It's not just for a show. So if you're nervous about whether you're going to get it right, or if you need to practice your skills, I always recommend people to mend tea towels because there's nothing to lose. This jumper here has been needle felted. For some reason, the back had all of the holes and the front had none. So the owner of this jumper wears it backwards. So I only mended it where there were genuine holes. It looks somewhat intentional. I have a few op shops that have been setting aside clothes for me that come in that have moth holes or missing buttons or broken zippers where people just think that's too hard. There's a term known as wish cycling, which is when you recycle something that you're not sure if it can be recycled or not, but you're just hoping. Maybe there's a magical fairy in my op shop who's gonna mend all my clothes. Maybe there's an army of like retired nanas and they're gonna fix my problem. It's fine, they don't have anything to do. And that's just not the case. So if you're not prepared to have your clothes end up in landfill, don't donate stuff that needs to be repaired to the op shop, fix it yourself.
People don't really think about repairing their clothes anymore. It's all about, well, it's cheaper for me to just buy something brand new, so I'm just going to do that. So I think it's important to add something as simple as a little repair kit to your garment, or, you know, having some sort of instruction manual to help the consumer look after their garment.
Between 2000 and 2015, people bought 60% more clothes and discarded them in half the time.
My view, and this is how my view has changed since I've started studying, but clothing should be expensive. It should be. You know, the reason that it's not is because people are being taken advantage of in other countries. Buying a t-shirt for $5, it shouldn't be $5. Somebody else is paying the price. You're not, but somebody else is.
I would hope in the next 10 years that we make more progress in Australia on what is often referred to as the circular economy. So there's a number of challenges, but probably the main one is sorting the product. Because of the volumes that we have, it has to be done in an automated way. And the machinery that is required to do that is incredibly expensive. We haven't got to a point yet where it's commercially viable in Australia.
So the Northern Hemisphere has been very innovative in establishing technology which may be able to process and recycle textiles. The challenge with donating clothes that may not be able to go through the second-hand market is we might not know what fibre composition they are, or perhaps there's multiple blends of fibres in one piece, and given that labour can be quite expensive here, think about how many man-hours and how many things that people have to process and look at the labels and look at the tags. It's crazy. Whereas in Europe, they've come up with optical measures that can send a light through the fabric and bounce back what the composition is made of, and that's a computer system filled up with all the information, of course.
Sustainability doesn't have to be expensive. If you don't have the money, if you can be sustainable in your own way by upcycling yourself, you know, it's something that anybody can do.
What about the fluoro?
I love that.
I love that too.
You could bicycle in it.
You could bicycle? Uh-huh. We really hope that we can be an example of a business model that can work across different scales.
We hope that we can set the example for bigger companies that have the funds to actually set up their manufacturing themselves, because we can't do that. Then it's the way of the future. It's viable.
Bye-bye.
I think the future of the charity op shop is very rosy, but I think that we need to embrace the urgency with which Australians are concerned about the environment. Our future lies in being part of the circular economy.
This would be good on you.
Which supports our environment.